Thank you. Selamat sore semuanya. Good afternoon. Masih bersama Gat? Are you still okay? Still awake? Still ready? Ready for dinner? I love having a very early dinner here in Indonesia. I find people, you can have dinner at 5:30, it's okay. So, but I think we have dinner at 6, I believe. No, not 6? 6:30. Oh, sorry. Okay, I won't do the schedule. That's not my job. So I'm here just to do collecting some ideas of what we experienced over today, but especially over the last 2 hours. One of the sad things about parallel sessions is that we can't clone ourselves yet into multiple versions of ourselves to attend the different sessions that existed. I wish I could have been in all 4 sessions, but I was only in one, and so were all of you, unless some of you found some new cloning technology to make yourself attend all of them. So what we want to do is we'll take just a few minutes to hear from some of the different sessions about what they learned. We won't call people up to the front because we did a lot of that, so we'll kind of circulate around and gather some reflections, and then have just kind of a kind of closing thought together. So let us begin. I saw Masanchu. Where did he go? Oh, he left. Okay, all right. In that case, let us begin with Bu Irma and... Oh, is he there? Oh, he's there. Masanchu is there. We were in this room talking about environmental polarization with a case study of geothermal activists, and we saw a film. So I will just give 5 minutes to Masanchu just to give some ideas, and you can share it to others.
Okay. So what we discuss about film, about community members struggling, preserving their life, their lands, their forests, their mountains, facing the plan and also the implementations of the geothermal explorations. What we learn from that in relation to the polarization is that the main narratives about geothermal is green energy, good energy. We dependent on energy, and geothermal is the right choice for now for energy transitions. There are many narratives about it, which are very good, and it is challenged by the community members presenting their experiences that tells about their everyday life, their everyday struggles, and so the polarization that we learn from that is that it is between the energy, green energy versus life experience. Apa ya ruang hidup? Living space. Thank you. Living space. So we don't explore this very much. This is part of our discussion from last year, which is that what we learn from the community, they put all risk on their life to preserve their living space. And for them, if we want to discuss anything, especially environmental issues like geothermal, it is not enough if we just discuss about the nature of geothermal, but must be discussed in relation to living space. Geothermal as part of living space, and that would include the knowledge, the life, the practices of everyday people. So I think that is what we see, how the polarization, and from that we think, what we learn is that polarization is necessary, because the narratives of green energy is dominating. It is used for justifying, legitimizing the policies for the government and also corporations. And for them raising new ways of looking at geothermal, polarizing the topic and polarizing the practices is important, because that is the way for them to live their life, not only their life of now, but the lives of their generations. And so environments, in terms of the polarization, should also include not only the current life, today's world, but also up to hell, no, up to heaven. So I think that's what we bring up to that discussion for the environmental issues. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mas Anchu. Excellent. So that's from the environment. Moving now from the environment to the very important issues and questions around gender and polarization. Fatima suggested that maybe Prof. Alimatul could give us a couple of reflections about what was learned and discussed in this room as one of the facilitators. So I'll give it to you.
No male participant in our room except the cameraman and the committee. It means that sometimes women issue is not prioritized. It's not important. Yeah, this is a part of, unfortunately, in this conference as well. Yeah, okay. So, and the second one is relating to women. Sometimes it's become important if there is political interest. So they encourage to do demonstrate on the road if there is something political interest. For example, in 2016, when 212 movement, yeah, they call ABI, Aksi Bela Islam. Mean ABI is also mean male. See, although the more than a third members are female in the map of Monash. So even at that time Majalah Umat that belong to HTI also there is fatwa. There was fatwa that women should go to demonstration. So sometimes it's only political interest that women is important, but not in seminar. Okay, relating to the demonstration as well. When we're talking about women and disaster, also there is something interesting that there is a women firefighter. In that journalist, in that media, there is appreciation women become firefighter, but at the end, they should not forget what her job at home to cooking their family, to feeding their baby. Sometimes it's not really comprehensive support for women equality in media. So we need to educate journalists for women and gender equality perspective. And the third one is relating to feminist and religion. Because sometimes if feminists wearing veil, they will question, are you feminist? Why you are wearing hijab? So even me, I myself, sometimes if I presented in many places, particularly in abroad, they also question, are you feminist? Yes, I am. Why are you wearing hijab? Because the narration about the oppression and hijab itself sometimes still happen, but there are some work that can work together, feminist idea and religious idea. For example, for feminist Muslim in particular, they believe that this is not symbol of oppression, but this is symbol of liberation for the hijab. Okay, and discriminatory law, until today there are still many of discriminatory law, which is the criminalization, there is for the control of the body, women's body. There are still happen in Indonesia as well. And when we talking about gender issue, don't forget that there is intersectionality. Women in upper class and women in lower class have different idea. We have joked at that time that not only Ahmadiyah women who has underprivileged or discriminatory, Muhammadiyah women as well. Like myself, I cannot be rector in Islamic State University because maybe I'm Muhammadiyah and women. So this is something that women also has intersectionality, not only because of women, but what organization they belong to. Okay, feminist strategy. Yeah, there are many strategies that done by feminists in Indonesia. Some of them go to the road, but some of them choose to silent revolution. So that's why we can both together, work together, and then in Indonesian context, feminist movement, we continuous improvement. We know in that video that at that time in 2020 is still struggling to pass the sexual crime law, but we know and 2022 is already passed the law. And I think the last one is relating to the challenge. If capitalism and patriarchy work together, then the most vulnerable group are women, because they only take advantage for the economic purpose and also for the privileged male purpose. And when we're talking about sisterhood, yeah, we have to encourage, but sometimes in sisterhood itself there is senior junior issue. So sometimes there are gender equality, but in terms of sisterhood, because there is senior and junior issue, is also something need to be homework, yeah, to be addressed. Last one, this is according to Mbak Andi, yeah, that women, if they can work together, unite together, they will be very powerful movement. But you know, capitalists and patriarchy always try to divide women, because if they go together, they can change the world. So that's why in many occasions, in many groups, they try to divide. So then women fight with other women. So this is something that we have to stop, that we have to unite to make something better in this world. I changed myself, I changed the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Prof. Alimotul. That was excellent summary and encouragement and challenge to us. Thank you. Moving now from gender and polarization to religion and polarization, if we're ready. I would like to ask Prof. Nick, Badigi elected Prof. Nick, to give a little some input from what we learned from that. So I'll bring you the microphone here, or actually, Lulu can. Thank you.
Well, it will not surprise you to learn that in our session on religion and polarization, we wondered what religion is. And we began with a discussion of thinking about religion in different languages and the difference it makes to say agama, to say religion, and then even more radically to say din. So thinking in Bahasa Indonesia, thinking in English, thinking in Arabic, and discovering that these terms, I've no idea how the interpreter is going to cope with this. Thinking in these three languages simultaneously means that you are not thinking of one thing three times. You're thinking of three different things and then trying to figure out how they relate to each other. But why are we even asking this question of how to think about religion? It's not simply so that we can become satisfied with having no answer. It's because in most state administrations, it's necessary to have some kind of account of religion in order to regulate it. So we thought a little bit about state-controlled classifications, how the state is involved in the ways in which we think. And the difficulty is that local histories and local forms of life, we even talked about forgotten cultural heritage, these things are very difficult to connect with state-controlled forms of classification. And one of the phrases that emerged from our group was the heavy hand or the large hand of the state in relation to how we think about these things. And universities play an interesting role in pushing against those, if you like, forms of state-enforced ways of thinking. we considered the fact that many political questions are often posed as problems that need solutions, whereas what we do in our work in this sort of environment is not so much problems and solutions, but more research and understanding, and how you connect practices of research and understanding with imperatives towards solutions to problems. That was very, very clear in the press conference that we had after the first session, by the way. The press questions were all about problems and solutions. So we then moved on to the question of pressures of funding in relation to education, and that the kinds of things which attract funding often do not fit well with the best ways of thinking. And to give one example of this in our group, that the scale, so that the kind of aspiration for funders is often very high, very general. It's concerned with impact, it's concerned with transformation, it's concerned with policy. Those were the three things that funders want to see. Whereas the scale of research, of thinking, is often smaller. We deal with cases, we deal with histories, and even in the case of languages, we deal with dialects. And so we didn't come to a solution to these problems. We came to a recognition that these are enormous challenges for educational institutions which are under threat of funding. And so the question which we would like to put, I think, to the entire unconference is, if we have challenges of different scales, scales which demand impact, transformation, policy recommendations, and if we're doing work, good work, in our institutions, investigating cases and histories and dialects, our greatest challenge is how to connect these different scales, and that is a collective task. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Nick. And he put that together in just a few minutes because I just asked him about 10 minutes ago, so well, well done for organizing that so well. Let's turn now to our final group that wants to share about digital inclusion, and we're going to, Pat Leo has asked Mbak Anna, who's ICRS PhD student, who will share some results from this group. Welcome, Mbak Anna.
I'm not preparing for this, so I try my best. Okay, we have a very small group, so we have a very intimate talk mostly about indigenous religion in Indonesia. So the first point that I want to share is about the exposure of indigenous religion versus the threat that they may have if too much exposure. And the second is the variety of indigenous religion in Indonesia that because several reasons become homogenized and even polarized. And the third issue that we talk is about the use of digital platform and to share several information about to expose or to make clarification about indigenous religion, but also there is like internal resistance from the elderly about what we can share or what we cannot share. And the next point is about the information provided by the AI that we cannot make fast responses to make clarification, but Mas Damar suggests that if we have like the wrong information from the AI and we have time to make clarification, then we just do that instead of produce a lot of huge amount of clarification. And the other thing that we discuss is, I already mentioned about the internal resistance, and also, okay, uh, not all of the false information about indigenous religion in Indonesia can be clarified. So there is still a problem of providing the very basic needs, and it is hard for the internal organization, in this case MLKI, to have like the two effort, like the first to advocate for the basic rights, and also to make a lot of either clarification or sharing the right information about indigenous religion. So like for now, they choose to first focus on the basic needs, the advocation for the basic needs. So I think that's all I can share, Mas Jo. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Anna. That was a great summary from with also not much time. So, wow, it sounds as if there was some very rich discussion, some very challenging discussion, and it's my job to summarize all of the day in 3 minutes. So, here we go. Bismillah. I will see if we can do it. I think the title of the conference is Polarization and Its Discontent. And maybe today, I feel like personally, rather than my idea of polarization and discontent becoming smaller, it's become bigger. So I think after today, my sense is that we're talking about polarizations and their discontents. We have so many levels of polarizations, levels of society. We have so many ways in which polarization works through our societies. And we had people suggesting, for example, that polarization is a way to achieve environmental justice. Or maybe polarization is a way for people to maintain and entrench power relations around gender and sexuality. Or maybe polarization is a way for politicians and political figures to pit religious and ethnic communities against each other in order to enrich themselves and other interests. Or maybe polarization is a way to continue to exclude and marginalize communities, not only in the physical space, but even in the digital space. And when we hear and see all of that, it seems, at least for me, quite overwhelming. Yeah, like a lot. I mean, we kind of know that things aren't very good in the world, but maybe I don't feel at this moment very encouraged about it. But what I want us to think about, maybe from this, the complexity of this, is that it's important for us to accept and sit with that and not try to find, as the media likes to ask, as Prof. Nick mentioned, okay, what's the problem in one sentence and what's the solution in one sentence? Go. Because sometimes our simple definitions of problems and our simple solutions actually make the problem worse, right? Rather than helping us to find. So as we move tomorrow to thinking about mitigation of polarization, what can we do about polarization? What should we do? What do we need to do anything? To answer these questions, it's important, I think, for us to sit with the complexity and the narratives and the stories that we heard today and think together about where do we find the solidarity, the connection, the gotong royong, the things that will help to bring us together to try to find some answers between all of these different forces that work to divide us. And there's no better way to do that than to continue talking. So I invite you for the next bit of time that we have, and then tonight into the dinner and the film, to eat together, to talk together, to share ideas, to share challenges, and hopefully as we continue to work together, we can find not a solution, but many different types of solutions for all of the types of polarizations and all of the discontents that we may experience today. So I want to thank all of the presenters and people who gave a lot for this day in the unconference. And thanks especially, because he didn't get any appreciation yet, to Pak Diki for his chairing for this morning. Thank you all of that. And to everyone who helped to organize today, thank you. And I think with that, anything else to say, Pak Diki? Or all right, with that, we should continue to talk and work together, and we look forward to seeing you later tonight and also tomorrow. Thank you.
Okay.